Good afternoon. It is time to convene our meeting. Good morning or good afternoon. I just said that. Mr. Corral, can you confirm that the recording has started? I think I heard the confirmation. Very good. Thank you. So it's now 1 p.m. I would like to call to order this meeting of the WIFA Federal Programs Committee. I will call the roll. Blake Anderson.
Here.
Britton Baxter.
Present.
Tom Bishotsky. Paul Gardner.
Here.
Ray Montoya. Joe Olson.
Present.
Kevin Rogers.
Here.
Fernando Shipley.
Here.
David Tenney. Sandra Watson. Keith, are you here for Sandra?
We can note for the record that.
Okay. And myself, Karen Peters. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Keith Watkins, present.
Outstanding. Thank you, Keith. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. We have 8 members present, so quorum is confirmed. Thanks all for being here. So for the record, please remember to identify yourself when making a motion or requesting to speak. Please ensure you are unmuted for any votes. And for those in the room, please remember to leave the microphones on the table for sound quality purposes. In addition, if any member wishes to depart the meeting at any time, please announce your departure for our recorded meeting records. Agenda item number 2, disclosure of conflicts of interest. Is Joe on the line?
Joe is not on the line with us today.
Okay.
He is out sick, but I can in his stead report that we have not received any conflicts of interest. If anybody has one to disclose now, however, they're welcome to do so.
Yes. Any disclosures at this time? Hearing none. Let's go to item 3, the director's report. Go ahead, Director McGuire.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just a couple things to share. First, you might notice we're a little light on staff today. Lindsay Jones, John Riggins, and Judah Waxelbaum are all in Washington, D.C. for the Council of Infrastructure Finance Authority's spring conference. So they will be both talking with fellow SRF programs and learning more about what's going on at EPA and what we are doing in the next upcoming years, as well as meeting with some folks on the Hill. So it's always a really good visit for them, and we will be talking a lot about the detrimental effect of earmarks. So our congressional delegation will be very well aware of the need for a fully funded base in the SRFs. Also wanted to report to this body, again, just kind of for situational awareness, that the WIFA Board of Directors, we did have 4 members that rotated off by virtue of just their terms expiring, and those were all of our 4 of our large county member representatives. We have 3 of those who have currently been appointed. So we had Ted Cook become reappointed by the governor. The governor also appointed Sue Montgomery. You may remember she was actually a member as a small county member, moved to a big county, was reappointed as a large county representative. And then just yesterday, we heard that the Speaker of the House has appointed Stephen Miller, Pinal County Supervisor, to the WIFA board. So we still await 1 more appointment. So we are still waiting to see who our full complement is going to be, but we'll definitely keep you updated on that as well. Judah is in DC, as we said, but I did want to give you just a quick update on some legislation that we have running through, and specific to the Federal Programs Committee. You might remember we do have a bill that the county supervisors are really spearheading to give counties explicit authority to borrow from WIFA for the purpose of cesspool removal projects. We are working on some amendment language for that. I think Ben and probably Director Peters as well can tell you a little more about that. There's some archaic language in the statute regarding the definition of non-point source. Is that okay? So we are working to find a sponsor for some amendment to help clean that up. But otherwise, I think that legislation is moving through rather expeditiously. So I think that's all I have, unless there are any questions from members of the committee.
Thank you, Director. I will note, of course, we do have some news regarding a President's budget proposal for EPA, which is quite draconian yet again, impacting the SRFs. Hopefully, as last year, Congress will will see the wisdom of funding SRFs and continue doing that so that we can improve water and wastewater infrastructure in Arizona without interruption. That'd be great. Okay, so then we will move now to item number 4, financial update and forgivable report. Denise Olson will lead the discussion.
Thank you. So this is just an update of where we are at financially. So this chart, you've seen it before. This shows you what we had for actuals last year. It also shows you where we're at in fiscal year 2026 and what we had forecasted for fiscal year 2026. If you remember, we have a strategic framework, and our goal is to have 549.8, which I'm going to say 550 million by the end of fiscal year 2028. So far to date, this fiscal year, we've awarded in both the SRFs and the Water Supply Development Fund $85.8 million worth of projects, loans, and grants. And I do think we're probably going to get really close to what we forecasted. There are no fiscal constraints right now in the SRF program, and I'll show you a little bit more if you go to the next slide. So on this slide, we've always missed on disbursements with the financial plan versus actuals. I did a real scientific thing this year where I just took a percentage of our disbursements, and I think I did a good job. So if you look, our financial plan is the disbursements are tracking pretty closely to what we forecasted. And so the good news is if you go to the next slide, basically what we showed in the financial plan is still holding true. We do still have quite a bit of cash on hand. If you remember, the forecast did have some very conservative estimates for future EPA grants. So we assume the worst. So with that in mind, we will have cash over the next 5 years. And right now we are not seeing any need for a bond sale. However, that is very dependent on what loan demand is and how that plays out over the next few months. And we'll update it next year. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Denise. Any questions from the committee?
Okay, and then the next thing, just real quick, is we do have a forgivable report, forgivable principal. We still have lots of forgivable principal. So you can see we have 94 million in drinking water forgivable principal balance and 25 million in clean water.
Question, Denise, is that subject to any deadlines that we need to be aware of? No.
No, I mean, obviously the faster we get it out the door, the better, but
Right.
we will hold on to it as long as we can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any questions, other questions for Denise on the forgivable report? I'm hearing none. Thank you very much. We'll move on to our consent agenda items. So agenda items 5A and 5B are noticed as consent agenda items. Any item on the consent agenda may be removed and discussed as a regular agenda item upon the request of any member of the committee. For those attending virtually, please ensure you're unmuted for our vote. Before I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, does any member wish to remove an item for further discussion? Okay then, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, this is Fernando. I move to approve the consent.
Turn on your mic, Fernando, so they can hear you online. Sorry.
I move to approve. This is Fernando. I move to approve the consent agenda.
Was the light green?
Oh, I didn't have it on.
Your turn to talk.
This is Fernando. For the third time, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, Fernando. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, Kevin Rogers, I second.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstained? Motion is approved unanimously. Thank you. Those agenda items are very important, so thank you all for your attention to those. We'll now move on to our regular agenda items. Members of the public wishing to speak on a specific agenda item may submit a speaker's card prior to the chair opening discussion on that item. For instructions on how to submit a speaker's card, please refer to the Notes on Proceedings section of today's meeting agenda. So before I call agenda item 6A, I'll pause. See if anyone has speaker's cards or rushing up to submit. Not seeing any. So let's go to agenda item 6A. This is Loan Resolution 2026-054, Town of Welton, $512,120. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion and introduce representatives of the applicant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The town of Welton is seeking just over $512,000 to fund the rehabilitation of its existing water treatment plant clarifier in order to restore its functionality and return the plant to dual clarifier operations. In 2024, Welton entered into a WIFA loan agreement to fund the installation of the new clarifier and to rehabilitate its existing clarifier in order to address an ADEQ consent order. The new clarifier was put into service in July of 2025. However, due to higher than expected costs, the original loan was not sufficient to cover both objectives, and thus additional funding is required to complete the rehabilitation of the existing clarifier. Even with approximately $350,000 in combined funding remaining from the prior project, including $286,000 from the first WIFA loan and the balance from a community development block grant, additional investment is needed to complete the project in order to restore redundancy, improve operational flexibility, and achieve long-term compliance with drinking water standards. Financial analysis, adjusted to account for the expenses related to the new clarifier, indicates the town is in a position to afford the additional loan. While the funding is to complete a second part of a project, WIFA staff is presenting the request with an additional forgivable principal balance because the community is to consider disadvantaged as both a colonia and because the area and medium household income of $52,000 is below the 90% of the state medium household income. And the project will help relieve a public health threat relating to exceeding the maximum contaminant levels for trihalomethanes. And WIFA currently has excessive amounts, as Denise pointed out, in forgivable principal available specifically for drinking water projects that are disadvantaged and addressing a public health threat. Therefore, $341,742 in forgivable principal is presented for consideration. The town of Welton qualifies as a disadvantaged community and is a priority community. The project manager was Casey Allman, and the loan officer is Anthony Nagera. And we should have representatives Terry Barriga, and the grants administrator Dennis Ausuch of Ausuch Consulting, and Richard Marsh, the town manager. So, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. I want to welcome our friends from the town of Welton. We've had a couple of conversations, I know, with the city manager, and appreciate your being here. Does the committee have any questions for staff? Does the committee have any questions for the applicant, or does the applicant have anything to add? Okay, okay. That's perfectly reasonable. All right. Then I will entertain a motion on this agenda item 2026-054, Town of Welton. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, Keith Watkins, I make a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, Joe Olson, I second.
On the motion. I will just say I'm really pleased to see the town come forward and look forward to resolving this longstanding issue in the community. So good for you guys. If there's no additional discussion, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any abstain? Motion is approved. Thank you, and thanks very much for coming up.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're very welcome. Then let's move to agenda item 6B, loan resolution 2026-055, Pine Creek Canyon Domestic Water Improvement District, DW 038-2026, $400,000. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion and introduce any representatives from the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Pine Creek Canyon DWID is seeking $400,000 in funding to solve their need for additional water resources and tank capacity by acquiring a new groundwater well, either through the purchase and deepening of an existing registered well or the drilling of a new well. Additionally, the district plans to perform maintenance on a 250,000-gallon storage tank to increase its overall current storage capacity. The district states that the current groundwater pumped from the existing groundwater well has been affected by a 90-foot decline in static water level of the shallow aquifer that serves the Pine area. In response, the district has secured a currently unused well site, which is held in escrow. The well site contains a 300-foot deep ground well that currently produces 8 to 10 gallons per minute on a short-term basis, and they believe that it may be feasible to attach a large pump and piping to increase production volume to a level to supplement the other wells. The district is requesting technical assistance from WIFA to contract with an engineering consultant to evaluate this and 2 other options to determine which is the best approach for the district. The other options would be to either deepen an existing well or drill an entirely new groundwater well on an existing well site. The project will include $50,000 in technical assistance to contract with the engineering consultant for the design and related services, as well as $20,000 to contact with the Council of Governments to assist with Davis-Bacon compliance. The district has 6 WIFA loans in good standing that uses a water and wastewater pledge to secure the loan. Using the same pledge, the historical projected financial performance shows the district will exceed 1.5 times debt service coverage and therefore qualify for level 1 security or our highest level of security and will not be required to fund a debt service reserve or repair and replacement fund. With a median household income lower than 90% of the state's median household income, the district qualifies as disadvantaged and is also with a priority community. Therefore, it is being presented with $287,500 in forgivable principal. The project manager was Lindsay Mills. The loan officer is Evan Marsh. And we have representatives in the audience today. We have Steve Stevens, the system manager, Harry Jones, and I don't know what title Harry's going with now, but he's here, and also Bill McClure. So, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks to the representatives of the applicant for coming up. Does the committee have any questions? Thank you, Scott. Does the committee have any questions for staff? Does the committee have any questions for the applicant or anything the applicant would like to add? You don't have to. Okay. Very good. With no questions, may we have a motion on agenda item number 6B for loan resolution 2026-055?
Madam Chair, this is Britton Baxter. I move to recommend approval of loan resolution 2026-055.
This is Fernando. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any abstained? Motion is approved. Thank you for being here today. Then we are prepared to move on to agenda item 6C, loan resolution 2026-013, Janice E. Warden and Lawrence A. Warden, DBA Warden Water Company. DW 015-2026, $82,000. Scott Connolly will lead the discussion and introduce any representatives from the applicant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I start in this one, I do want to make a notice, a disclaimer that attachment C in the due diligence analysis presented to the committee in their package is incorrect, had an incorrect table of projected performance. The materials will be reposted with the correct attachment later today after this meeting. So And the difference is the correct attachment does show a projected negative balance going forward, whereas the one in there did show positive amounts. So with that said, and I can address any questions later on if there are any. Warden Water Company is a small rural water company that provides service to approximately 30 connections or 75 people in the unincorporated community of 3 Points, about 30 miles southwest of Tucson. They are seeking $82,000 in funding to outfit a new well and pump, pad, seal, and valves, and construct a third storage tank. Also replace an aging booster pumps and pressure tanks. These improvements are expected to expand storage, provide backup capacity, modernize infrastructure, and ensure reliable water service. In August of 2023, the company's primary well experienced a failure that required immediate emergency repair. To address the immediate emergency, WIFA executed a small drinking water fund agreement in December of 2023, providing $42,000 to drill a new well and install a new pump and modem. A second small drinking water system fund agreement was executed in February of 2026, providing an additional $23,000 to cover debt still outstanding from the 2023 emergency work. Financially, WIFA staff noted the company is small and that scale does impact available resources. The 2023 well failure and the need to purchase import water caused the 2023 net revenue to be a negative $45,000 in that year. In December of 2023, the ACC did approve a emergency surcharge for 24 months, which allowed revenue to return positive in 2024 and 2025. However, the 2-year duration ended in December of 2025, and WIFA currently projects that the company will have negative net revenue in 2026 through 2030 based on that information. However, the ACC is working with Warden on a new rate case review. Given the system's projected financial performance, its small size, and relatively small loan amount, WIFA staff is proposing a 100% forgivable loan to help promote the long-term viability of this small water system. WIFA staff also recommends up to $20,000 in technical assistance funding for the Council of Governments to support compliance with Davis-Bacon payroll requirements. Warden Waffer qualifies as both a disadvantaged community and a priority community. The project manager is Brandon Lofgreen, the loan officer is Channing Lester, and we should have Representative Kevin Kastner available to answer any questions from the borrower. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Does the committee have any questions for staff? Does the committee have any questions for the applicant representative? Is he on the line or is he present? Okay. Then, if there are no questions, we'll move to a motion on loan resolution 2026-013, Warden Water Company, $82,000. Do we have a motion?
This is Fernando Shipley. I'll move to approve resolution 2026-013.
Thank you, Fernando. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, this is Brenton Baxter. I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Certainly want to thank the ACC for working with this company.
And Madam Chair, if I could, just for the record, I'll probably be filing the rate case in the next day or two. I have everything I need, so.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. With that, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any abstained? Motion is approved. Thank you very much. So that concludes our action items for today. Agenda item number 7 is a call to the public. This is the time for any additional public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Are there any requests for public comment?
There were no requests to speak on this item.
Thank you, Beth. Agenda item number 8 is agenda development. This is an opportunity for members of the committee to identify any topics they would like discussed on a future meeting agenda. Director McGuire, anything to offer?
I don't think so. Unless there's anything from any members of the committee, it should be a pretty straightforward meeting.
Any members? Very good. Well, agenda item number 9 is our next meeting, which is scheduled for June 9th, 2026 at 1 p.m. Anything to add, Director McGuire?
No, ma'am.
Wonderful. That concludes our business. If there's nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting. The time is now 1:25.